So I first caught wind of Sonic 06 probably in the beginning of 06, or maybe in the middle of the year. I really can't remember. All I know is that back then I used to frequent the GameFAQs message boards. Anytime any new screenshots or trailers would pop up, I'd get alerted to them. It's there I saw developer interviews where Sonic Team was basically saying they wanted to take Sonic in a new direction. The art style was described in this very question. What if Sonic was in the real world? They wanted to take Sonic into a more, quote, photorealistic direction. Good God, no. Look, the previous year when I played Shadow the Hedgehog, I was already worried about Sonic Team's decision-making because they chose to take the Sonic series in a radical direction. In this game, everyone started saying minor curse words.
You're going straight to hell. Damn, we've been detected.
Damn, they got away!
They gave Shadow machine guns and other edgy weapons. The look of the game was filled with destroyed cities and ugly aliens, and it was so not a Sonic game. And fuck the people who say, of course not, it was a Shadow game. You don't know what a spin-off is. Wario Land is a spin-off. Tails Adventure and Tails Sky Patrol were spin-offs. Shadow the Hedgehog was a Sonic game filled with Sonic characters where you collected rings and ran through loop-de-loops as Shadow. There was nothing spin-off about it.
Yeah, but you never really bothered to explain what the word spin-off really means. All he did was mentioning a few games that he considers spin-offs. I get that most people probably knows what he was talking about, but I don't think this is a great way to explain it. What if I didn't know anything about the examples of games that you mentioned? I'm just saying.
Sonic's roots have always been as a cartoon. In Green Hill Zone, you run around beating up robots that look like animals, and these robots actually have real animals inside them who you free as you jump into them. The world was filled with rotating flowers, trippy special dimensions, places designed like pinball machines. You are a silly blue hedgehog with attitude, fighting a fat, egg-shaped scientist with a big ol' awesome smile. Dr. Eggman's the greatest. It's a cartoon! It always was! When the games transitioned into 3D, it still felt like a cartoon. The humans weren't photorealistic, you still went to really wacky places, and even characters' expressions stayed over the top. It's a cartoon! Well, a cartoon video game that spawned lots of toys and television shows that are more cartoony. It's not meant to be realistic. Why would you take this concept where a blue hedgehog bounces on springs and collects rings and runs really, really fast and try to make it super serious and intense? I don't know!
Well, I think that I do know. It's called trying new things. However, I'm not saying that I like how they made everything more like real life. There was no real need for that, since other stuff like the Sonic X anime handled this way better, in addition to already using the idea in general.
But when they said Sonic 06 was going to be realistic, I didn't like the sound of that. It really made me think that the Sonic I loved was changing into something I don't, and who knows if it will ever be the same. I saw lots of screenshots, mostly of the opening and some shots of Eggman's robots. I hate the look of Eggman's robots, by the way. They're all white and shiny and clean and deadly looking, and yeah, I imagine if this world really existed, it would probably be more realistic for the enemies to look like that. But it's not Sonic, damn it!
I don't mind how the robots look like, but I do agree that they don't look like something from a Sonic game. They look like quick replacements made for a violent game in order to circumvent strict censorship rules in Germany at the time.
They wanted to include the new consumers, so they changed the design of the Sonic a bit to be more like adult-like, kind of make him taller and also make cooler. So they believe they can bring the new consumers and also old consumers to this next generation console.
This guy looks so bored. He knows exactly what this game is like. He could barely sell this. But I digress.
I'm more interested in how these Japanese guys can't speak English for shit, yet they have Japanese chicks doing the work for them. Sure, it's not perfect, and they clearly have an accent, but it's still rather pathetic to see how chicks can do this better than these guys.
Ugh, even the DVD pisses me off. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, look at Sonic's smug face just staring at you the minute you open the box. It's like it knows. You're about to play a fucking terrible game, and I'm gonna enjoy this, so stick me in, you stupid idiot! And so it begins. Sonic the Hedgehog. I hate that title. I refer to the game as Sonic 06, but that's not what it's really called. It's just called Sonic the Hedgehog, just like the Sega Genesis 1991 original. No subtitle, nothing. Why? Did they seriously think this game was worthy of the basic name of Sonic the Hedgehog? That takes balls. You're pretty much saying that this game is going to be the definitive Sonic experience, or that it's a reboot and this is the new age of Sonic that your grandpa can't handle. This game is Sonic! Fucking assholes.
Lol. So you don't have any ill will for the people that made this game, but you now call them fucking assholes.
I have no ill will towards the people responsible for this game. Fucking assholes. Just call it Sonic Iblis, or Sonic Soliana, or Sonic Revolution or something, but don't tarnish the original game too. Oh wait, I forgot. They did tarnish the original! On the exact same day, too! Actually, I know exactly what the game really should have been called, but I'll save that for later when I build up to that. It came out in 2006, so people just call it Sonic 06. The first thing you have to do is find Tails. When you do, the game has two separate load times. One to load the cutscene where they talk, and another to bring you back to the hub world. The load times are quite lengthy, and they're quite frequent, as you'll see. You can't reach the first level of the game because Sonic doesn't have the ability to use the Lightspeed Dash, the ability that lets you fly across a trail of rings. So now we get introduced to the shop mechanic and realize that we're going to need to collect rings to make our characters better. But where do you get rings if you can't enter the first level? Why, you go talk to Alberto Robert and encounter the first Hub World Town mission. Each town mission can be found talking to a citizen with a blue exclamation mark above his head. And you know the game's in trouble when you first start this mission. First you talk to him, and you agree to help him out. A load time appears. Okay, it's loading the mission, right? What the fuck was that? It just loaded a text box. It reloaded Soliana, the guy I was talking to, and everything that was there before I went to the loading screen, just to tell me what I need to do. I wasted 20 seconds of my time for no reason whatsoever. Why the hell did it do that? And in this mission we learn the first problem with Sonic's control. After he hits a spring, he constantly falls forward no matter what. They want you to fall through a line of rings, but Sonic is constantly moving forward. If you tilt downwards, he'll keep going downwards until you move in a new direction. There's no way for Sonic to just drop. He's always pushing ahead wherever he goes. That's awkward. After loading our results screen... No, really! We had to load that too! The town mission will force 4 load times on you. 1 to load the text box, 1 to load the mission itself, 1 to load the results screen, and another to bring you back to the hub world. The game moves at a snail's pace, and it doesn't matter if you install the game to your Xbox's hard drive or not. What the hell is with all these loading screens?
I have a theory about the loading screens. I noticed that most of them take around the same amount of time. I'm starting to think that the load screens don't actually load anything half the time they last. Maybe some of that time is invested in checking that everything was loaded properly, since the game was clearly released in a somewhat unfinished state.
So let's get on to Sonic. Sonic doesn't have 2 buddies hanging off of him like in Sonic Heroes. He doesn't have guns like Shadow. The blue blur is back by himself, and he apparently plays like a Sonic adventure game. Yes! This can be only good news! He runs, he homing attacks, he jumps into wait, what the fuck? I got hurt by that! Why did that hurt me? Let me try that again. Oh, you fucking assholes.
There he goes again, calling the developers fucking assholes. Are you sure you're not trying to do personal attacks against them?
Town missions will always guarantee you 4 load times. Again, text box, actual mission, result screen, and taking you back. With 3 trials of Soliana, that means a total of 12 load times. And if you fail a mission, then you have to undergo another 4. So if I screwed up the second trial, my bump goes from 12 loading screens to 16 loading screens. A single failure means you have to undergo 4 more loading screens. Seriously, how the hell did everything go so wrong? Why the fuck is the first loading screen for a text box? They could have easily coded the game to just skip to the second load screen where it actually loads the level and save the audience a ton of frustration. Why, when you fail these terrible missions, isn't there a retry mission option? This is common fucking sense, people!
That's probably because they didn't have the time to fix minor issues like that due to the deadline.
Since Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic has been able to grind on rails. And if you come up to an area where more than one rail were lined together, you could use the A button to dash sideways to the other rail. You had to be holding the direction the rail was in, and some of the more reckless players could push the button too many times to completely homing attack off the side and die. It wasn't perfect. But again, to Shadow the Hedgehog's credit, they assigned the button that jumps from rail to rail to the right button like they did the light speed dash. That meant you weren't recklessly pushing the jump button like before. So again, credit to Shadow. In Sonic 06, they removed all of that. The only way to move from one rail to another is to manually jump off and try to aim Sonic on the other rail. There's no way to just instantly slide over to the next rail like previous games. That can be hazardous to Sonic's health. It's awkward. The overlaying feeling I have about Sonic is he feels awkward. His character has handled tons better in previous games, and it doesn't feel satisfying to play in this one.
I think that one of the reasons Sonic feels worse in this game compared to others is because they didn't have the time to polish Sonic. And this way of using homing attacks to reach a different rail feels like they didn't have time to implement a better rail switching system.
They don't actually have orange ramps like the previous games. Why not? Because it's too realistic? Hey assholes! I'm snowboarding in a city destroyed by fireworms! Realism went out the window. Give me my fucking ramps!
It's the third time he calls the devs assholes. This is why I don't believe people when they say that their video is not meant to be a personal attack or whatever. Because they end up doing the opposite of it. I think I'm going to leave it there. There was more I was going to comment on, but I lost the will to keep going, and I want to upload this video during this year, since Clement's Sonic 06 videos are over a decade old now. I will say however, that Clement does exaggerate how bad this game is, regardless of whether or not he's joking around. I remember some people in the comments section of part 7 said that according to Clement, everything was going to get better. That was not quite true. The people quoted what Clement said, and then they said, and then Sonic Boom happened. They actually have a point there. Sonic Boom was arguably worse than what happened with Sonic 06. At least Sonic 06 sold well. Sonic Boom is a nothing burger on a near empty Happy Meal that didn't even sell well, and because of that, there were lots of layoffs. That is worse, if you ask me. And if we look at the Sonic games we got now, a decade later, there is barely anything good in there. And by the way, I don't give a shit about the upcoming Sonic Frontiers. I'm not saying I want the game to fail though. The only thing I cared about related to Sonic Frontiers was how they invited different kinds of people that cover video games to Hawaii. If I was invited to go there, I would definitely be more excited about the trip to Hawaii than having to play a game I'm honestly not excited about. I don't know about you, but I would like to visit some PAX stores over there and maybe try one of those Hawaiian burgers. I think that is all I got. I do have this response to Clement's online harassment propaganda though. All I have to say is, fuck off Sonic fag. People don't deserve to be harassed or crucified just for liking a game that you don't like. No, I don't hate this guy. I still think his content holds up well overall. It's just that I'm not going to put up with bullshit like what he just said in part 7 of the Sonic 06 review. And no, I don't give a shit if that wasn't meant to be taken seriously. I have been bullied many times, and I don't take most things lightly, so it's simply not funny to me. And because of that, this comes up as online harassment. Yes, I admit I have some issues with Clement, like how he comes up as an overhyped fanboy on some of his Let's Play videos, but that is not enough for me to hate him. I'll just end the video by saying that videos like Clement's Sonic 06 review somehow make me feel a bit better when I'm not in a great mood. Yeah, I know, that's weird, but that's how I feel about it. See you again.
Oh, for fuck's sake, why is Tails so slow? Why does he always push forward when he flies? Why does he have dummy rings as a fucking weapon? Why is there another loading screen? Why does this game load so much? How can they put time portals all over the place when my main method of attacking with Omega is to jump and spam fireballs? Yeah, go figure, my character's still gonna get stuck in the time portals even when he's hanging up there in the sky, so I die a lot with Omega. Fuck! How can there be another fucking loading time? Why is Knuckles gliding have such a slanted descent? Why doesn't he have a steady glide? Why does he go down so heavy? Why can't Knuckles and Rouge get off the walls? I will never fucking defend this game as long as that happens. Fuck! Still loading! How can they fuck up Silver so much? How come he's so slow? The goddamn time portals almost suck him in always because he runs at the speed of molasses! He's so fucking slow! I'm slow walking to get away from time portals! You're about to die, you stupid psychic fuck! Get out of there! Amy Rose is the most useless gameplay style in this whole entire fucking game! Why can't she be fast? Why can't her hammer have reach? Why make it so you have to stop to get invisible in a level with time portals? Still loading! I love how I'm replaying Wave Ocean again, because all they do constantly throughout this whole fucking game is reuse level design over and over and over and over again. Hey, I've memorized Wave Ocean just from this one fucking playthrough, because I've had to play it with everybody. God, still loading! How can they think giving Shadow that stupid fucking punching homing attack was a good idea? This game is fucking terrible, and no! I have to do it all over again. All the loading, all the fucking bullshit because they spawned a fucking time portal right on the wall I was running up because wall running is the most reliable